you are still in transit between the leaving and the having left, and I am on the ground in the between of still connected and completely bereft. The plane is in the air for several hours, which means the going isn't yet complete, and I exist in this strange in-between of not quite lost and not quite obsolete. In between is where the strangest living happens. In between is where the feelings neither, not the full of the arrived departure, and not the settled of the full believer. I check the flight without the meaning to, the way you check a thing you can't affect, and watch the little plane cross the little ocean, and feel the checking and the disconnect. In between is where the strangest living happens. In between is where the feelings neither. I check the flight until the landing's showing, and then close down the app and feel the ether of the fully gone, replacing the in transit, the plane on the ground in the other place, and me on the ground in this one, finally arrived at the complete of the empty space. Watched you go from the window at the end, the way you walked without the looking back, and I stood there past the point of useful standing, just being in the watching of your track. The street received you the way streets receive, without opinion and without the keeping, and I was at the window being left in the particular silence of the sleeping. Some goodbyes happen while you're still awake. Some goodbyes don't announce themselves as final. The window and the watching and the street are how I learned the difference of the title. I stayed at the window window after you had gone, long past the going and the street gone quiet, and felt the room adjust around the leaving, in the way rooms do without the riot. Some goodbyes happen while you're still awake. Some goodbyes don't announce themselves as final. I stand at windows differently now, always, and feel the watching, and the title pull of someone going without turning, and all the standing past the useful point, and everything the window held that morning, and how the room adjusted at the joint. You turned once at the barrier and I caught it, that last look before the crowd absorbed you, and I held it like the last frame of a film reel that keeps on spinning after it has showed you the everything you meant inside that turning, the whole of what we were in one brief glance, and then the crowd, and then the ordinary of a station that had given us no chance. Some looks contain the whole of what can't follow. Some looks arrive precisely at the end, and hold inside them everything the words could never quite assemble or commend. I walked back through the station in the after, not ready for the outside and its weather, and sat with something hot until I wasn't, sitting in the turning of the tether. Some looks contain the whole of what can't follow. Some looks arrive precisely at the end. I replay it on the certain quiet evenings, the turning and the barrier and the phrase by heart without intending. The way you learn a road you drive too often. And now I find your features in the strangest of faces that the daily world has softened. Not exactly you, but close enough to startle. A certain angle or a way of turning. And I look twice before the looking settles into the not you and the not the yearning. The faces that we learn without the learning stay in us past the having of the face, and find us in the crowd without permission, and briefly put the someone in the space. I'm not unhappy when it happens mostly, just briefly elsewhere in a busy moment. A second of the double take and settling, and then the ordinary and the going meant. The faces that we learn without the learning stay in us past the having of the face. I carry yours in me the way I carry the road I used to drive to your place. Corners of faces in the ordinary crowd, and feel the learning that I did without knowing, and feel the face you gave me bright and loud. After the going, what remains is texture, not the person, but the impression left. The warmth still in the chair, the smell still somewhere, the particular presence in the bereft. I walk through rooms and feel the after presence, the shape of where someone has recently been, and all the air still holding what was in it before the going emptied out the scene. What a person leaves is not their absence. What a person leaves is something warmer. The particular texture of their having that lives inside the room. A little longer, I've learned to feel the texture, not the missing, to find the warmth inside the after room, and let it be a thing that's almost company before it fades and gives way to the gloom. What a person leaves is not their absence, what a person leaves is something warmer. I live inside the texture of the leaving and find it softer than the empty former. Nothing of the room itself which holds the warmth a little longer than expected, and lets me sit inside it while it's present before the ordinary is resurrected. Didn't cry until the drive back home, which felt like the appropriate delay. The airport and the gate and the composure, and then the motorway and the giving way. The motorway received it without judgment, the way that roads receive whatever comes. And I was somewhere past the second junction before the going found its proper sums. Grief has its own timing and its reason for waiting for the private and the moving. The airport is too public for the feeling, and the car is where the feeling starts its proving. I pulled in somewhere past the needed stopping, and let the going find its proper place, and sat there with the engine and the after in the particular private of the space. Grief has its own timing and its reason for waiting for the private and the moving. I drive that motorway on certain mornings and feel the junction and the proving of what I held inside the airport composure, the everything that waited for the car, and all the going gate and the not crying, and the motorway the feelings are. Last mornings always look like ordinary mornings, which is the cruelest trick that time can play. The coffee and the light, the usual sequence, with nothing to suggest it's the last day. You move through it the way you always moved with your particular morning and its ritual. And I made toast and pretended not to count. The ordinary made exceptional. I wanted to say something worth the saying, something that would hold the whole of it. But ordinary mornings ask for ordinary, and extraordinary didn't fit. So I made the toast, and you had the coffee, and we talked about the nothing of the day ahead. And the last morning looked exactly like the others, which is both the kindness and the dread. I wanted to say something worth the saying, something that would hold the whole of it. I said goodbye the way I always said it, and watched you go, and that was all of it. And everything I meant to say still lives inside the ordinary of that morning. The toast, the coffee, and the usual sequence, and the day that came without a warning. Every leaving needs a song to carry, the particular weight of the going away. And I have been the leaving and the staying in enough of them to know the display of what the leaving does to those who stay. The window and the watching and the after, and what the leaving does to those who go. The forward motion and the muffled laughter, both sides of a leaving have their grieving, both sides The one who stays stands still inside the leaving. The one who goes stands still inside the cost. I have been both, and neither is the easy, and neither is the one I would have chosen. But leaving is the weather of a loving, and loving means the leaving isn't frozen. Both sides of a leaving have their grieving. Both sides of a going have their loss. I sing whatever song the leaving needs, and find the singing worth the double cost of being here and being there at once, of leaving and of staying in the same, of loving someone past the going of them, and carrying the leaving like a name. You were already gone before the going. I felt it in the weeks before the day. The slight adjustment in the conversation, the particular distance of the already away. Not cold exactly, just already somewhere that I couldn't reach across the ordinary. And I moved through the weeks of the already, with the knowing and the not quite vocabulary. The going that arrives before the leaving is harder than the one that comes as sudden, because you grieve the living and the present and lose them before anything has been undone. I tried to reach you in the already going, and found you partly there and partly not, and loved the partly there with all I had, and mourned the partly gone before I ought. The going that arrives before the leaving is harder than the one that comes as sudden. I know the already gone from the before now, and love more urgently before the sudden of the actual going that confirms it, the day that proves what weeks had softly said, and leaves you with the after of the already, and all the grief of loving what had fled. I held still while you went, which took the most of everything I had to hold in that moment. The not reaching and the not the calling back, and the standing in the grace of the component. Parts of letting go which are considerable when everything in you is for the holding, and love and sense are pulling different directions, and the standing still is all the more withholding. Still is not the passive option. Holding still is everything restrained. The love that lets the going do its going is the hardest love and the most unexplained. I stood and held until you were beyond the point where holding could have changed the outcome. And then I moved because the moving was the only thing remaining to become. Is not the passive option. Holding still is everything restrained. I hold still now at every kind of leaving, and feel the love and feel the unexplained. Difficulty of the standing in the watching of someone going where you cannot follow, and find that holding still is its own gift to the one who goes into the hollow. There's a blue that comes after the going, not the dramatic blue of grief and crying, but the quiet blue of the adjusted morning, when ordinary life resumes its trying. The coffee is the same, the light is similar, and everything proceeds without the asking. and you are in it moving through the blue without the going quiet, without the masking. After blue is not the worst of colors. After blue is just the new temperature of rooms and mornings that have been adjusted to the single and the somewhat quieter. I find the afterblue on certain mornings when the light is doing something ordinary, and feel the quiet of the adjusted room and all the single of the temporary. After blue is not the worst of colors. After blue is just the new temperature. I live inside the afterblue quite gently and find it has its own particular. Warmth that comes from having loved the going and having held the going with a grace that leaves the afterblue as more than nothing and more than just an emptied out of space. After the gate, there's a particular kind of quiet that exists nowhere else but at the airport. When someone's gone through to the other side, and all you have is the returning to the short. Walk back through everything you came through together. Now walked alone and differently weighted. The same corridor, the same fluorescent ceiling, and everything the same but complicated. The corridor back is longer than the corridor there. The corridor back is where the knowing starts, that the one you came with isn't in the building and won't be in the building that departs. I stopped at something on the way back out and bought it without knowing why I bought it, and carried it to the car in the parking, and sat there with the buying and the thought of it. The corridor back is longer than the corridor there. The corridor back is where the knowing starts. I drive home from airports differently now, and feel the aftergate inside the parts of me that watch the planes from parking structures and trace the one that carried you away, and sit there in the car until I'm ready to drive back into the ordinary day. Somewhere up there, you are still in transit between the leaving and the having left, and I am on the ground in the between of still connected and completely bereft. The plane is in the air for several hours, which means the going isn't yet complete, and I exist in this strange in-between of not quite lost and not quite obsolete. In between is where the strangest living happens. In between is where the feelings neither, not the full of the arrived departure, and not the settled of the full believer. I check the flight without the meaning to, the way you check a thing you can't affect, and watch the little plane cross the little ocean, and feel the checking and the disconnect. In between is where the strangest living happens. In between is where the feelings neither. I check the flight until the landing's showing, and then close down the app and feel the ether of the fully gone, replacing the in transit, the plane on the ground in the other place, and me on the ground in this one finally arrived at the complete of the empty space. Watched you go from the window at the end, the way you walked without the looking back, and I stood there past the point of useful standing, just being in the watching of your track. The street received you the way streets receive, without opinion and without the keeping, and I was at the window being left particular silence of the sleeping. Some goodbyes happen while you're still awake. Some goodbyes don't announce themselves as final. The window and the watching and the street are how I learned the difference of the title. I stayed at the window after you had gone, long past the going and the street gone quiet, and felt the room adjust around the leaving in the way rooms do without the riot. Some goodbyes happen while you're still awake. Some goodbyes don't announce themselves as final. I stand at windows differently now, always, and feel the watching and the title. Pull of someone going without turning, and all the standing past the useful point, and everything the window held that morning, and how the room adjusted at the joint. You turned once at the barrier and I caught it, that last look before the crowd absorbed you, and I held it like the last frame of a film reel that keeps on spinning after it has showed you the everything you meant inside that turning, the whole of what we were in one brief glance, and then the crowd, and then the ordinary of a station that had given us no chance. Some looks contain the whole of what can't follow. Some looks arrive precisely at the end and hold inside them everything the words could never quite assemble or commend. I walked back through the station in the outside and its weather, and sat with something hot until I wasn't, sitting in the turning of the tether. Some looks contain the whole of what can't follow. Some looks arrive precisely at the end. I replay it on the certain quiet evenings, the turning and the barrier and the blend of everything we were into one glance that had to hold a lifetime in a second, and did and does and will on certain evenings when the quiet comes and quietly has beckoned. I learned your face by heart without intending, the way you learn a road you drive too often. And now I find your features in the strangest of faces that the daily world has softened. Not exactly you, but close enough to startle, a certain angle or a way of turning. And I look twice before the looking settles into the not you and the not the yearning. The faces that we learned without the learning stay in us past the having of the face, and find us in the crowd without permission, and briefly put the someone in the space. I'm not unhappy when it happens, mostly just briefly elsewhere in a busy moment, a second of the double take and settling, and then the ordinary and the going meant. The faces that we learn without the learning stay in us past the having of the face. I carry yours in me the way I carry the road I used to drive to your place. Corners of faces in the ordinary crowd, and feel the learning that I did without knowing, and feel the face you gave me, bright and loud. remains is texture, not the person, but the impression left. The warmth still in the chair, the smell still somewhere, the particular presence in the bereft. I walk through rooms and feel the after presence, the shape of where someone has recently been, and all the air still holding what was in it before the going emptied out the scene. What a person leaves is not their absence. What a person leaves is something warmer. The particular texture of their having that lives inside the room a little longer. I've learned to feel the texture, not the missing, to find the warmth inside the after room, and let it be a thing that's almost company before it fades and gives way to the gloom. What a person leaves is not their absence. What a person leaves is something warmer. I live inside the texture of the leaving and find it softer than the empty former. Nothing of the room itself which holds the warmth a little longer than expected, and lets me sit inside it while it's present before the ordinary is resurrected. Didn't cry until the drive back home, which felt like the appropriate delay. The airport and the gate and the composure, and then the motorway and the giving way. The motorway received it without judgment, the way that roads receive whatever comes. And I was somewhere past the second junction before the going found its proper sums. Grief has its own timing and its reason for waiting for the private and the moving. The airport is too public for the feeling, and the car is where the feeling starts its proving. I pulled in somewhere past the needed stopping, and let the going find its proper place, and sat there with the engine and the after, in the particular private of the space. Grief has its own timing and its reason for waiting for the private and the moving. I drive that motorway on certain mornings and feel the junction and the proving of what I held inside the airport composure, the everything that waited for the car, and all the going gate and the not crying and the motorway and where the feelings are. Last mornings always look like ordinary mornings, which is the cruelest trick that time can play. The coffee and the light, the usual sequence, with nothing to suggest it's the last day. You move through it the way you always moved with your particular morning and its ritual. And I made toast and pretended not to count the ordinary made exceptional. I wanted to say something worth the saying, something that would hold the whole of it. But ordinary mornings ask for ordinary, and extraordinary didn't fit. So I made the toast, and you had the coffee, and we talked about the nothing of the day ahead. And the last morning looked exactly like the others, which is both the kindness and the dread. I wanted to say something worth the saying, something that would hold the whole of it. I said goodbye the way I always said it, and watched you go, and that was all of it. And everything I meant to say still lives inside the ordinary of that morning. The toast, the coffee, and the usual sequence, and the day that came without a warning. Every leaving needs a song to carry the particular weight of the going away. And I have been the leaving and the staying in enough of them to know the display of what the leaving does to those who stay. The window and the watching and the after, and what the leaving does to those who go. The forward motion and the muffled laughter. Both sides of a leaving have their grieving. Both sides of a going have their loss. The one who stays stands still inside the leaving. The one who goes stands still inside the cost. I have been both, and neither is the easy, and neither is the one I would have chosen. But leaving is the weather of a loving, and loving means the leaving isn't frozen. Both sides of a leaving have their grieving. Both sides of a going have their loss. I sing whatever song the leaving needs, and find the singing worth the double cost of being here and being there at once, of leaving and of staying in the same, of loving someone past the going of them, and carrying the leaving like a name. You were already gone before the going. I felt it in the weeks before the day. The slight adjustment in the conversation, the particular distance of the already away. Not cold exactly, just already somewhere that I couldn't reach across the ordinary. And I moved through the weeks of the already, with the knowing and the not quite vocabulary. The going that arrives before the leaving is harder than the one that comes as sudden, because you grieve the living and the present and lose them before anything has been undone. I tried to reach you in the already going, and found you partly there and partly not, and loved the partly there with all I had, and mourned the partly gone before I ought. The going that arrives before the leaving is harder than the one that comes as sudden. I know the already gone from the before now, and love more urgently before the sudden. Of the actual going that confirms it, the day that proves what weeks had softly said, and leaves you with the after of the already, and all the grief of loving what had fled. I held still while you went, which took the most of everything I had to hold in that moment. The not reaching and the not the calling back, and the standing in the grace of the component. Parts of letting go which are considerable, when everything in you is for the holding, and love and sense are pulling different directions, and the standing still is all the more withholding. Still is not the passive option. Holding still is everything restrained. The love that lets the going do its going is the hardest love and the most unexplained. I stood and held until you were beyond the point where holding could have changed the outcome, and then I moved because the moving was the only thing remaining to become. Holding still is not the passive option. Holding still is everything restrained. I hold still now at every kind of leaving, and feel the love and feel the unexplained difficulty of the standing in the watching of someone going where you cannot follow, and find that holding still is its own gift to the one who goes into the hollow. There's a blue that comes after the going, not the dramatic blue of grief and crying, but the quiet blue of the adjusted morning, when ordinary life resumes its trying. The coffee is the same, the light is similar, and everything proceeds without the asking. And you are in it, moving through the blue, without the going quite, without the masking. After blue is not the worst of colors. After blue is just the new temperature of rooms and mornings that have been adjusted to the single and the somewhat quieter. I find the afterblue on certain mornings, when the light is doing something ordinary, and feel the quiet of the adjusted room, and all the single of the temporary. After blue is not the worst of colors. After blue is just the new temperature. I live inside the afterblue quite gently, and find it has its own particular. Warmth that comes from having loved the going, and having held the going with a grace that leaves the afterblue as more than nothing, and more than just an emptied out of space. After the gate, there's a particular kind of quiet that exists nowhere else but at the airport. When someone's gone through to the other side, and all you have is the returning to the short. Walk back through everything you came through together, now walked alone and differently weighted. The same corridor, the same fluorescent ceiling, and everything the same but complicated. The corridor back is longer than the corridor there. The corridor back is where the knowing starts, that the one you came with isn't in the building, and won't be in the building that departs. I stopped at something on the way without knowing why I bought it, and carried it to the car in the parking, and sat there with the buying and the thought of it. The corridor back is longer than the corridor there. The corridor back is where the knowing starts. I drive home from airports differently now, and feel the aftergate inside the parts of me that watch the planes from parking structures, and trace the one that carried you away, and sit there in the car until I'm ready to drive back into the ordinary.